Rule of Rose is a wonderful example that horror games don't need excessive graphic violence, jump scares, and visceral brutality to deliver a thoroughly haunting and disturbing experience. On a surface level, this 2006 survival horror title for the PS2 shares a lot of DNA with its genre peers of its time, especially Silent Hill 2 and 3. For instance, its psychological horror style of storytelling, a dark and menacing id machine of the protagonist's traumatic past and innermost fears, manifested as a surreal dreamscape, populated with monsters that represent various facets of her repressed memories she's trying to come to terms with. This type of storytelling that appears nonsensical and whimsical at first glance, but that lets the observant players unearth unending treasures of hidden meaning, symbolism, and narrative depth the deeper they dig, it's textbook Silent Hill. The similarity between these games also shows on a technical level. Controls, camera angles, pans, inventory handling, even font choices, and the style in which environmental hotspots are presented in focus, and especially the combat. All of these elements are designed to make Silent Hill veterans feel at home. But even though it tries, Rule of Rose's moment-to-moment gameplay, especially its combat, was often criticized to be the game's weakest link. It's often unbalanced and unpolished, and through that, often painfully frustrating to play. The developers themselves have openly admitted to the frailty of the game's combat on several occasions. In their own words, because they lack the time and resources in the final stretches of development to give it the polish and refinement it would have needed. This certainly makes Rule of Rose tedious and sometimes very unwelcoming to approach, especially from a modern player's point of view. But the fact that despite these shortcomings it managed to acclaim a cult status among a dedicated fanbase for many years to come is a strong testament to the developer's main focus, the story. Rule of Rose features a cast of surprisingly deep and nuanced characters, woven into a complex yet coherent network of relations and backstories, set in an ambience of mystery, intrigue, and beauty. A world that is disturbingly scary and alien, yet at the same time feels personal and relatable. Rule of Rose is bold. It never shied away from going into seriously dark and disturbing topics. It addresses bullying, harassment, possessive relationships, and even child abuse, misconduct, and the exploitation of parental power over children and adolescents. And those are only a few of the issues the game goes into. It is also overtly political, which is an aspect about its narrative that is often overlooked and rarely talked about. But in its depiction of these topics, the game was often deeply misunderstood, especially from authorities that at the time of its release willfully misrepresented its narrative to have it banned from the market. In this video, I'd like to take Rule of Rose and its convoluted and controversial narrative apart piece by piece to unravel just how well thought out, how consistent and coherent its narrative is if you look at it up close, and how much understanding and respect it actually shows for the disturbing themes at the heart of its melancholy tale. I'd like to show you that Rule of Rose is truly an underrated masterpiece of psychological horror storytelling that never stoops to exploitation of dark topics for mere shock value, but that was written with a message of compassion at heart, a message to survivors, to those who themselves might have been mistreated, disenfranchised, or ostracized at any point in their lives. A message to all those who can find a little bit of themselves in Jennifer.